As a gamer without sight, the first thing you're often presented with a new game is a menu system. Now, the menu system normally sounds something like this. What if by changing a couple of settings you could actually have Crackdown 3's menus read to you? Well, as a matter of fact, you can. Now, I've changed my settings in advance of this video so that my language, region and location are both set to English, United States and United States respectively, but this next setting is a key one that you might otherwise not even know exists. Under the Ease of Access menu, we have an option called Game Transcription. Now, if we go into that,
Settings window. Settings are loading. Speech to text uncheck box uncheck. Turn on speech to text to transcribe other players' voices into text on your device. This is only available in games that support it. You may need to modify additional settings in your game to use speech to text.
we have a few options, one of which is this first one. Now, if we scroll to the right,
text to speech uncheck box uncheck. Turn on text to speech to have your text read aloud to other players. This is only available in games that support it. You may need to modify additional settings in your game to use text to speech.
And again,
text to speech voice. Microsoft David. Combo box. Collapse. Choose a voice to represent you. This is the voice other players hear when your text is read aloud.
We finally come to, if we scroll to the right for the final time,
Let games read to be check box uncheck. Some games can read aloud certain words that appear on screen. Choose whether you want games to read to you.
the most important option in this video. Now, this is only available when you have the aforementioned region settings. Now, if we press A on that,
check,
and we go back into the game,
co-op campaign, solo campaign, co-op campaign, enter wrecking zone, options, solo campaign, options, game settings, lock on style, hold, tutorial hints, on, HUD visibility, on, rotate minimap, on, subtitles, on, lock on style, options, game controls, vibration, on, invert x-axis, camera, no, invert y-axis, camera, no, invert y-axis, vehicle, no, invert y-axis, dead-eye, no, player camera auto pitch, on, controller scheme, control scheme 1, control scheme 2, control scheme 4, advanced controls, inner dead zone, camera inner dead zone, 20%, camera sensitivity, 100%, driving sensitivity, 50%, switch sticks, off, controls, invert x-axis, invert y-axis, options, control, audio settings, music, master volume, 100%, 99%, 100%.
as you can see from that brief demonstration, we have a fully reading set of menus here. Now, this doesn't necessarily apply to in-game elements, sort of like the waypoint system, the supply points, etc. But that doesn't mean that if those options aren't available in terms of if they read, that doesn't mean that can't be modified later.
Music volume, 33%, effects volume, 100%.
The only issue I did see with this when I was testing it out is the simple fact that the volume is rather low and it can't be adjusted, which is why I've turned the music down so much.
Voice volume, 100%.
But it's really only the music that's affected, so it could just be that the music volume was rather too high.
Movie volume, 100%.
But then again, it is all down to personal preference.
Options. Game settings, controls, audio, display, display settings. Brightness, 50%, HDR display, off, HDR settings. Brightness, 50%, HDR settings. Brightness, HDR settings.
That is an option that appears to not do anything. That's interesting.
Brightness, 50%. Options. Game settings.
I suppose, though, that would only work if you had the HDR on. Let me
Controls.
go back in
Credits. Display.
and
Display
see.
settings. HDR settings. HD on. HDR settings. HDR settings.
Yep, I was right.
Paper white. 200. 200. Display settings. HD brightness. 50%. HDR display on. Brightness. 50%. HDR settings, brightness, HDR display, on, save changes. Do you want to save changes?
And I've
Options.
selected to not save my changes.
Control, game settings, audio, display, credits.
The final thing I will show you is the fact that the
Co-op
when the
campaign.
setup procedure for campaigns and things reads as well.
Solo campaign. Select agent. New agent. Agent slot 5. New agent slot 2. Agent slot 3.
Oh, there is actually a way to delete your agents as well if you press menu.
Delete agent save. Are you sure? Confirm.
Which does read.
Cancel. New agent. Agent slot 2. New agent. Agent DNA. Create agent. Jackson. Zaya. 4G. Jack Chapman. Rue. De Sosa. Chap Anderson. Ramos. Gaddis. Bartram. Gaddis. Rom Anderson. Chapman. Jackson. Mersey. Jackson. Anderson. Marshall. CUA. Marsh. Anderson. Chapman. Anderson.
There is a really faint audio cue to indicate that those agents are locked, some of these, but that's because they are likely found in the in-game world too as a sort of unlockable things.
Chapman. Anderson. Ramos.
It's not the easiest of cues to hear, but it is certainly there.
Gaddis.
But if we wanted to pick an agent,
Forge. Zaya.
let's say Jackson for example,
Select world. World slot 1. World slot 5.
now
New world. World slot 3. New world.
I'm going
World,
to
new world.
just pick 4.
Choose difficulty. Agent. Super agent. Legendary. Rookie. Agent.
But I'm not going to actually go through with this because otherwise we'd just see the opening cinematic. But suffice it to say that the in-game pause menus and things do read as well in terms of resume, quit, options, etc.
Select world. Solo campaign.
Now hopefully that's given enough of an idea, at least in this review copy that I have received before launch. Thank you very much to the generous folks at Microsoft for sending me that. Of the accessibility potential of narrated menus using the technology found in the Microsoft XDK. Thank you very much for watching. Feel free to like, comment and subscribe.